Lopez. Tonight, the blue half of Manchester has been turned red. At half-time, they were hanging on. By full-time, they coasted home. Graham, we will discuss the flaws and failings of Manchester City at length. But now it is time to give credit to your former club, Liverpool, on a great night for them.
Tell me, over the two games they've deserved to go through. And the very first 45 minutes at Anfield, they were fantastic on the front foot. And the second 45 showed they can defend. Tonight they've turned up, conceded an early goal, and you're thinking, oh no. You're thinking the worst at that point. They rode their luck with the Sané goal that was disallowed. But other than that, yes, City had a lot of the ball, but Liverpool were controlled, they were organised at the back. They looked like a team that could win this competition, because they've got organisation at the back now, and Van Dijk's a big part of that, and they've got that threat up front. I don't believe little Salah was fully fit tonight, but he still gets a goal, 39th goal. But what we will talk about, and we must talk about, is why Pep Guardiola changed in the second half his formation. That I am astounded by that. I'm more than astounded by it, because in that first half they weren't doing a lot wrong, and for whatever reason he's changed at half time, and from the change Liverpool got a foothold in the game and ended up controlling that second half. No problem at all to them that second half.
Neil, your thoughts?
It's a fantastic night for Liverpool. I agree with Graham. Over the two legs they've been the better team. I think huge amount of credit goes to the manager. The way he sets his team out, the mentality of the team now is fantastic. Didn't see the result coming, but 3 out of the 4 halves over the two legs, Liverpool have been the dominant team. And they go on, and psychologically for Liverpool, that's a huge shot in the arm. Not only for the club, but the city and the support as well.
The concern that Liverpool would have had, previous teams, that's 10 years since they were in a semi-final, and some of the players, the key players they would have had in that era, the likes of Torres and Alonso, left the club, went on to bigger, better things, supposedly. Suarez even since then. Does this put them at a level now where they can look these big guns in the eye, and those players can say, I can win big trophies here?
Oh, no question. This is a semi-final of the Champions League they're in now. And I have to say, there's been a massive improvement in Liverpool as the season and the months have gone on, to the point where, they don't fear Man City, the best team in the country, in the Premier League. And Klopp has, I think he's outthought Guardiola over the two games, and he seems to have the measure of him at the minute. And I think his team are, a sort of resemblance of him as a personality. Rock and roll, all action. They had to play a little bit differently at times, defensively, very sound. Karius again, second half didn't have a lot to do. First game didn't have anything to do. And that speaks volumes for the Liverpool performances over the two games.
I think they're a really dangerous outfit now.
Yeah.
They can play different types of football, where I think prior to Van Dijk coming, I think they were vulnerable. I think they could dominate until they ran out of steam. Whoever they played against, they could be on the front foot, look threatening, score goals, but then it's as if someone let the air out of the balloon. For the last half an hour of a game, against the better teams who could keep the ball, they were on the back foot and looked vulnerable. Against City, who are our champions in waiting this year, in both games when they've been under the cosh, they've looked like a team that could defend. And that, you won't always play well, but if you can defend well and you've got goal scorers in your team, you've always got that threat. You win games you shouldn't win.
I think you've just said it a few moments ago. You think they're potential winners now?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
For that reason, for that solidity?
Because, they can go away from home and score goals, defend properly. That's the key. You'll always be asked, when you get into this level of the competition, the big games, you will be asked to defend. Your goalkeeper will be asked to make saves. And it's,
There's some of your old mates in the crowd.
The question mark is, about the goalkeeper, Karius. Will he be able to work at this level? 24, maybe he will get.
That would be my only question mark.
That's my one doubt. Yeah. But the rest of the team, you have to say, they're playing like a proper team.
The other thing is, Tommy, they're clinical. They are clinical. They were two fantastic finishes tonight. Salah, we didn't think looked fit, but it's a great finish, great composure, I think. And then Firmino's is a quality finish. Great work, great finish. They are clinical. You cannot switch off against them at the minute.
We've seen Kenny Dalglish, we've seen Ian Rush in the crowd. You're sitting here with us. Can this team join that sort of legacy of European glory that they have? Are Liverpool fans sniffing number 6 now?
For me, this is the best team than won in Istanbul.
2005, yeah.
This is a better team than one in Istanbul. I think they're more of a team that they're more solid. They've got more punch up front. Every team. There's no perfect team, but I think this is a team that could easily win this competition. And if you go back, I was like everybody else, who's a Liverpool supporter. I think at the start of the season, I was just get into the top four, maybe get to a cup final, get into the top four. But as the season's gone on, the team itself has grown in confidence, and they have no fear of going to that stadium tonight. At the start of the game, the camera panned on Trent Alexander. It's Trent Alexander 1920. It didn't look as if it was going to bother him at all, and that's how it turned out. This is a team that feel they should be on the stage. This will only stand them in good stead going forward.
Lots and lots to talk about. Liverpool are through to the Champions League semi-final. What a job he's done for them this season. 39 goals for Mo Salah, and a really crucial one tonight that really killed the tie. You're going to show us, Graham, a piece which illustrates that change that City made at half-time. Now, before we see it, just maybe put into context why it was so important based on what we've seen in the first half.
Well, it's just a classic case. If it ain't broken, why try and fix it? You know, we're talking off camera. We're players. You come in for City tonight. You come in at half-time. It was at half-time you didn't want to arrive. You were on the front foot. You were playing well. You were threatening. You know, you're one up. You've scored another one. You know it should have stood, but it didn't. But you're on the front foot playing well. So you come in, you sit down, the manager says, look, forget that. We're going to go a back four. As a player, as a senior player, I'm going to question that. And I think Guardiola will have questions to answer after that tonight. Because what he did, you play, and I've said it already tonight, you play a three at the back primarily to get another man into midfield so you can dominate the ball. They did that. They started with three, and they were dominating play, dominating the ball, dominating play on front foot for most of that first half. Why on earth would you change that? I mean, the advantages, and we'll show early part of the game, is to get Walker maybe forward down the right-hand side. It isn't having Laporte as a left-back to get forward, because he doesn't get forward. So therefore, I just don't see how Guardiola saw that first 45 minutes tonight. As a manager, I would have been thrilled with it. My team were doing everything asked of them. Get an early goal, look like scoring goals. And you change it. And he will have big questions to answer after that tonight. Because he is... Was it Liverpool playing further up, as James Milner alluded to? Was it Man City dropping off the pace a bit? Or was it the change of formation? Because, well, let's say it's a third. If you had kept your same formation, it's not. You can't put the blame at the door of that. He has now caused himself an almighty problem with his own players, I feel.
Before Graham shows us, Neil, do you think that might have been something to do with the fact that he was sent off at half-time? He might have felt, I have to do something, you know, a change, maybe anticipating a change that he might have wanted to make. It might have been harder to make from the stands.
Maybe. I mean, you know, there's no doubt about it that this late goal had a big say, you know, in the scoreline and maybe the psychology of the game. But there was no need to change it. He got his tactics and his setup perfect. And there was 1-0 at half-time. Quite easily, Man City could have got 2 or 3 and take it extra time or go and win the tie. They were so dominant. Why he changed it, me and Graham were
shows what he did then.
Well, you see from the very first, the kick-off, when the pitches come up, that he's gone to a back four. And I said, there's a point that Laporte doesn't get down the wing. He's not an attacking fullback. He's left-sided centre-back. So, and this has been the only reason we highlighted Walker at the top of the picture. Look, he's trying to get himself forward. A couple of occasions when he goes in front of Silva here. Look, so that's the only benefit I see by going to a back four. Walker's quick, he can get up and down the line. To be honest, when he gets there in the last third, he doesn't always deliver. He's not the best deliverer of a ball, attacking-wise. But, I mean, that's it. I mean, how else do you benefit? And then we'll see the goal that they concede, where Fernandinho's still got his midfielder's head on.
Right.
He's still attracted to the ball when he should be holding his position.
So, Neil, you show us the goal, and is it the case that Liverpool then get a break in midfield,
yes,
get an extra number?
Absolutely.
Is that the problem?
All of a sudden, he can get turned Oxlade-Chamberlain. Look at Fernandinho, breaks the back four line, poor from Laporte at left back, Mane's strong, and look at Salah reacting brilliantly, and it's a brilliant goal. But he gave the initiative away in midfield, and they were totally dominant, Graham, in midfield in the first half.
See, just prior to this, he's attracted to the ball in midfield, and he finds himself out of position. And that's a midfield player playing in the back four.
And what City had in the first half was the extra man in midfield where they were able to even though the front three of Liverpool were pressing the back three of Man City, they were still able to play through them a lot. Once he went to back four, and Graham makes a great point about Laporte at left back. He's a centre half.
Yeah.
You know, he was playing in his natural position in the first half, and then he's like a fish out of water second half. And it wrestled the initiative, give Liverpool
so it was a desire to make a change that didn't need to be made.
Absolutely. Well, from where we're sitting, that's the way it looked.
I'd try and second guess. How do you think? How do you think he saw his team play in the first half? Would it have been good, very good, top class?
I would have said somewhere between very good and top class.
Yeah. And the only thing missing was the second goal,
which they deserved to hit the post.
Right. Yeah.
Had one disallowed. They were totally dominant. Liverpool looked leggy.
So the people at home understand how a dressing room works. We're in the dressing room. You're the manager. Well, maybe that's the manager comes in. So the manager comes in and says, by the way, chaps, change the system. As a big player, as a senior player, I'm going to challenge that. Yeah. I'm sure that must have... If it wasn't challenged at half-time, it would have been challenged at the end of the game.
Sometimes you would go, we'll give it another 10 minutes. If we don't get the second goal, then maybe... We change it.
Manager says I have to stop you there, OK? I'm going to talk to the chair. I'm going to talk to the chairman about that. So here are the numbers behind a magical night for Liverpool. 2-1 winners at the Etihad tonight. City, as you'd expect, with the majority of the possession. 20 attempts on the Liverpool goal, most of them coming in that first half onslaught in which they looked likely to get the goals they needed. Didn't happen though. Liverpool are through to the semi-finals. You're cool and as if you'd just been down the garage buying the paper.
You'll be fighting it. He'll be fighting inside, he'll be full of it. And I can imagine when he gets into the dressing room,
he'll be releasing some emotion. Yeah. I'd say we haven't heard from Pep Guardiola yet, and I imagine there will be completely contrasting emotions from him. I wonder, will he be focusing on some of the injustices that City were visited upon City in that first half, Graham?
Yeah, I think he'll look at the Sané goal, when the ball comes off James Milner and not a City player, and it's given offside. I think that'll be the single biggest one he'll look to, because at 2-0, the effect that, forget what effect that has on City, but the effect that would have on Liverpool, they would have been, coming up for the second half extremely nervous. They got away with that. I'd be pointing to that one, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah, I think there were a few penalty calls in the first half which we're going to have a look at as well, and they all kind of come under the sort of category seen 'em given, as they say. Neil, what did you make of them?
I didn't think any of them were penalties. I don't think that's a penalty. I don't think that's a push. It's a flick on from Sterling onto Robertson's arm. This one, there's minimal contact and he goes down very, very easily. This is the talking point. This is a goal. And this is where Guardiola's frustration is obviously evident. It comes off Milner, Sané touches it in, that's a goal. Now, I understand, I've been there many times. What you want is the referee to get the big calls right, at this level in particular, Tommy. And I understand, and there's obviously history between himself and this referee over the course of the last couple of seasons. But what you can't do at UEFA level is come out and confront the referee. They're very, very strict on that. And he's obviously been sent off. I don't like all the pontificating from the referee tonight. The patronising pat on the head to Otamendi, all this sort of showboating. Did he have a good game? In the main, he did okay. But he got a really big call.
That was a big call.
Psychologically huge in the tie. He's got that wrong. And I understand Guardiola's frustration, I really do.
Yeah, people have been in touch, by the way.
I bet they have.
To the irony of you talking about people demonstrating with referees.
Pot kettle.
Yeah, you're outrageous.
But as Neil says, at UEFA level, you do get referees. And there is this backdrop that Neil referred to there. He refereed the Monaco game in the Champions League last year.
3 penalties away.
Where there was a penalty that wasn't given against Aguero, and then he gave a penalty to Monaco. And Guardiola referred to that last week before he knew that this referee was going to get the game. So it's incredible that
He's shot himself in the foot.
Yeah.
I think it would. It's important to point out they speak the same language, so you can bet Guardiola was using whatever words would have been extremely critical of the referee at that point for it to be sent off. Sometimes you get away with it if the guy doesn't fully understand some of your tongue, because we would all use different words in different situations, but a foreigner wouldn't understand that. So I think he's suffered maybe there, Guardiola. But I get his frustration. He's seen in the last 7 days, his season fall apart. In the last 7 days, he's seen his team go from one of the best teams, if not the best team that's ever won the Premier League, to having no questions asked of them. And now people are asking serious questions about this group of players. You know, the roof is firmly caved in. They've got a very hard game at the weekend as well. They're away to Tottenham. Tottenham still looking for points.
The roof is
don't lose many
in.
at Wembley.
Would you go? You're that strong about it?
Well, yeah, the roof is caving in as much as they've gone from being a team. If you remember, only a few months ago, we're going to win the 4 trophies that we're involved in. Can they go through the season undefeated? This is the best team that we've seen in the Premier League. You know, all those things now will never be mentioned. They're a team that's work in progress still. A team that still have their frailties and very, very severe frailties at times, and we saw that in the last 7 days.
So is this a case of the wheels coming off, or is it a case, as Graham says, of a work in progress team that aren't quite what everybody's making them out to be yet?
Yeah, I think sometimes we do. Look, we're always looking for, in the modern game, instant gratification, and they have delighted the public this season with the football, and they've been magnificent. It's just starting to peter out now. They've played 2 very good sides, you know, Liverpool and Manchester United, who on their day can beat anyone, and it's come within the space of a week. And there's no doubt fatigue is kicking in, and there's also no doubt that psychologically, once Salah scored, we all knew the tie was over. The damage was done for me in the first leg. Man City never turned up, couldn't handle Liverpool's intensity, couldn't handle the front 3, and they give themselves a mountain to climb in the second leg, and it's obviously damaged them. You know, because they were all out to win the Champions League. They were looking at favourites. The one team they probably didn't want was Liverpool. They got that, and Klopp has, at the minute, certainly at present, the measure of Guardiola.
See, he talks about Guardiola's after the game against United the weekend was talking about the game is all about the 2 boxes, and you know, to a point he's correct. You know, it's all about defending in that one and attacking in that one. Now, City are not very good on the defensive side of things, and when Aguero's not around, they're not very good doing another side of things. Between the boxes are fabulous. You know, with the 2 Silvas, with De Bruyne, Fernandinho, they keep the ball brilliantly, and you know, they dominate possession. But in his own words, as he said after the United game, it's about the 2 boxes, and one, they're not very good. When they're asked to defend, they're not very good.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And when Aguero doesn't play, they're not very good at the other end. And when we're both saying, to be fair, we said the same about Liverpool. When you look at, you know, City squad, who's missing from this? And you go through the bench tonight. You know, it's not, and they've spent a hell of a lot of money, City.
Just going to cut across you. So he's talking about those decisions both last week and this week as being key, while obviously giving credit to Liverpool, but he's talking about decisions being key over the course of the two legs.
Yeah, this is something as a manager you have to take on board, that you don't always get the correct decisions, but they do. And I don't believe it works out. You're still in management. I don't believe it works out over a season. The saying is, but over a season it works itself out.
No.
I think maybe over your career it'll work itself out. Things that go for you, things that don't go for you. But I'm very interested there, because he said we had a fantastic 45 minutes. Well, why change it? He said we had a fantastic 45 minutes tonight, and then they come in at half-time and he changes it. I just wish we'd heard someone ask that question of him.
So he's pointing to penalties then. To sum up, are you pointing to mistakes by him as a manager, both in the way his team, he set his team up to defend last week and in the change he made tonight?
Yeah, I think last week, I think they're more unlucky last week than they were tonight. OK, there was a goal that should have stood. I think the first goal, I agree with him. I think Salah was offside for the first goal. But when you go to Anfield and don't have a shot on target, I think that's right, a shot on target in 90 minutes, you're not going to win many games, are you? So, yeah, they had a wee bit of bad luck. But as I've said, every team can point to situations where you think the ball's not been kind to you, or the referee's not been kind to you, decisions have not gone your way. He will feel like that. He's angry, I'm sure, with himself for being sent off, maybe for making that change at half-time. I would, unless there's circumstances which I can't think of, yeah, I would be critical of his change tonight at half-time. I don't see why you try and fix something that's not broken. I didn't see anything wrong with that first-half performance, and yet he's made a fundamental change to the system. And you can point directly to the first goal, where Fernandinho still thinks he's playing in midfield and is attracted to the ball instead of holding his line. That came about because he went to a back 4. Simple as that. They don't see that first goal. in those circumstances, if he's still playing 3 at the back.
And Neil, looking at the bigger picture, is there a fatal flaw in his makeup in this competition when you look back over the seasons with Bayern Munich, where they lost to Barcelona heavily, they lost to Real Madrid heavily, and in this tie, a 5-1 defeat over the piece to Liverpool? Is that defensive weakness always going to catch out Guardiola teams in this competition?
Possibly. I think, you know, the facts are there that he has taken heavy defeats now. Even the one last year, Monaco, where they're through, and then they conceded a goal where Bakayoko was unmarked from a free kick, centre of the goal. You know, that shouldn't be happening with the quality of player that they allegedly have. So he'll know that. But that is a heavy defeat again over 2 games. A fatal flaw, I mean, you're talking about one of the greatest managers in the world at the minute, but he just can't seem to get it done at the minute.
Well, I say that as in, like, they're 13 points clear in the Premier League. Bayern Munich won Bundesliga at a canter, yet there seems to be, for some reason, they're falling short in this competition.
Well, I think Graham makes the point as well. Defensively, they need to be better. When they come up against real top-class opposition, you can't always play that open, free-flowing, expansive football that you want to play. Because teams can mix it.
When you come up against the very best teams, you have to accept they're going to test you defensively. You know, there's such a discrepancy in the Premier League now with what City can spend and the rest. OK, there are 4 other big teams that can spend big money, but they are out on their own in terms of what they can spend. So they'll cruise over all those small teams, but when they play against the best teams, they will be asked to defend. And when you get to the later stages of the Champions League, you'll be asked to defend properly.
And they couldn't do it over the 2 legs against Liverpool. Liverpool are through to the Champions League semi-final.